Hey everyone, welcome to the Active Towns channel. My name is John Simmerman, and this is part 3 of my Boulder City Staff Tour with Daniel Sheeter, Lucy O'Sullivan, and Gerrit Slatter. And we're picking up here right along the railroad tracks at Boulder Junction, where there will be a future rail transit stop. So let's get right to it with Daniel, Lucy, and Gerrit.
I just love this visual here. Coming along the edge of Boulder Junction. Phase 2 that Gerrit mentioned is off to your left here, so you can see kind of the lower density office, more office land use pattern today with surface parking lots, and that's what has been approved for a new area plan there to bring in a mix of uses beyond what's there today. There is a school there that one of my kids used to go to.
Okay.
So it does have a little bit of that today, but definitely a desire to enhance that further.
Yeah.
Bring some more density and make it a more walkable neighborhood. We're coming down now to Goose Creek, and we'll turn right here, John.
Okay.
To kind of skip Goose Creek and come back out onto Junction Place. Whoa, this got an e-biker coming. And this is another segment of shared street and historic depot, and the transit center is off on your left here where bus service will return this fall.
That's right, yeah.
And this is the shared street area that Gerrit mentioned has taken a beating from the adjacent construction, and we've had to do just completing some repairs here related to that. But a little bit of a wider feel than the last shared street example up to the north.
Lots of housing going in.
A lot of housing. Yeah, and the folks that choose to live here really want those transportation options.
Yeah.
They want that transit center, and they want to be able to walk downtown and to bike around. So it's very intentional.
Yeah.
So this is Pearl Street here, and the intersection with 30th is a short block to our west, and so the corridor project and the recommended design there will construct a protected intersection at that location to tie in with the protected bike lanes along the corridor.
Right.
And remove 2 slip lanes at that intersection.
Okay.
One of the key considerations for the 30th Street project is emergency response again.
Right.
More day-to-day, because a new fire station was constructed just north of Pearl here, between Pearl and Valmont, and so we've been working closely with our fire department colleagues, on some of the details of the design to ensure, that they still have the space they need to respond to calls.
Right.
Because they need to use 30th for every call leaving the station, so it's a really important consideration for the recommended design. We'll take a right here on another greenway that has a little different character. This is Boulder Slough now in a little more of an urban feel, kind of tying in the pedestrian realm with the adjacent housing and commercial development. But it turned out really nice as this phase of Boulder Junction is wrapping up.
Yeah, I love that little stretch there.
And then we'll come under 30th here, another underpass. Turn right. And come out onto the 30th Street bike lanes here. And so Pearl Street is also the transition between, for the recommended design for the corridor study, transition between where we repurpose lanes north of Pearl, where traffic volumes are a little bit lighter, going on up to Diagonal, and maintaining 2 vehicle lanes in each direction here on the south segment, south of Pearl to Arapahoe. but we're fortunate to have a little more space in this segment, and we can reconstruct the medians and create the space for protected bike lanes on this portion. These are conceived as on-street protected bike lanes, so something more along the lines of what we rode on Folsom, as opposed to those sidewalk level lanes that we saw on Colorado Ave, and we'll see further south on 30th too. But yeah, 30th is just a really interesting corridor because the context changes so much. You know, we were at the far north end, and that's you know, has a lot of multifamily residential. You know, that's kind of the original development pattern in that part of the corridor. But 30th Street there is, you know, this 4-lane higher speed arterial with lighter traffic volumes, so the speeds actually are a little bit higher even on that northern portion. And then you come down here into the changing Boulder Junction neighborhood, and a lot more commercial uses and businesses to the south as you come through 29th Street Mall. So yeah, and example here of frequent transit on this corridor, connecting the corridor to campus and South Boulder via the bound route. So really important to keep that bus line moving and not substantially delay transit service with any of the changes we're considering for our safety projects. So really a multimodal corridor.
Cool.
And
nice.
We'll anything to add, Lucy, Gerrit?
Looking forward to it.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll turn on to again an on-street bike lane now, painted. The multi-use paths that Gerrit mentioned that were constructed about 15 years ago are on both sides of the street here. So there is, you know, a wide enough path there for bikes and pedestrians to kind of share that space and have an off-street facility. But you know, in all these arterial projects, we really heard from the community a priority for dedicated space for bikes. Given the range of bikes we see now on our streets, from Bromptons to big cargo bikes like this one, as well as scooters, you know, e-scooters and the like. And those dedicated facilities can also, you know, reduce the potential for conflicts between bikes and pedestrians too, which is really key. So yeah, that's the direction we're going with these corridor projects, is giving that dedicated space. So we'll ride south. Have Gerrit demonstrating the multi-use path, the roadside multi-use path.
Gerrit's my model for the the multi-use path. What's the width on that one, Gerrit?
12 feet.
12 feet. Well done.
Crossing Walnut Street here, you see some slip lanes again here on the right, and those were constructed with 29th Street Mall. And the recommended design does propose closing those slip lanes and tightening the intersection up to reduce conflict points and turning speeds. So some really transformative intersection improvements here on this stretch. But again, you know, the approach is to try to reduce cost and time to implement with our recommended designs, and try to maintain existing street trees as much as possible to keep curbs where they are today, so that we can avoid a more lengthy and costly construction and, you know, utility relocation construction phase. And so that's the approach here on this stretch as well. Crossing Canyon Boulevard, another location with slip lanes here on the west side. And we're reaching the southern limit of the North 30th Street project at Arapahoe Ave. We'll go up on the multi-use path here.
How'd that feel over there, Gerrit?
Comfortable.
Yep.
The intersections, less so. Those right turn bypass lanes, just like we're coming up on right here. You never know if a car is going to comply with that yield or that stop, which is something we're looking to address with the recommendations from 30th Street, is eliminating those to separate the conflict.
So this is another intersecting CAN corridor here, John. Arapahoe Avenue. This is Colorado 7. So it's a CDOT facility here, a big, largely 6-lane roadway, 3 lanes in each direction. We're doing some interim multi-use path upgrades to close some gaps right now. Some of this construction is related to that. You're seeing some curb ramp upgrades to meet ADA, to improve ADA accessibility. And this street will be repaved this summer with a quick bus lane implementation as well for the outside travel lane, which is not just great for the service that uses the corridor today, but can also contribute to a safer corridor too, because those right turns are permitted from that bus lane, and so those can be separated out from the through vehicles who are traveling through the corridor. And we just transitioned now to the middle 30th project, and in a sidewalk level bike lane and a floating bus stop there. And these were just completed really over the last 6 months. And the final phases of construction are up ahead here. This was a recommendation from the 30th and Colorado corridor study, I think that Lucy mentioned earlier, and John, you had a little bit of history with. To develop these sidewalk level protected lanes, sidewalk improvements, and it's really just especially here through Scott Carpenter, just a really wonderful facility as we kind of bend into the park and approach Boulder Creek. So maybe we can pull up,
let's pull up a second.
Under, maybe just over here on the right, and Gerrit, we got to do a little off-roading there.
So that was wonderful. That was fun. That was a fun little stretch right there. Gerrit, do you know why I was laughing when we went through the intersection there?
I don't.
I was like, whoop, 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 whoop. And I was like, oh yeah, that could have been a continuous elevation right there. That would have been nice. It almost bucked me off. But yeah, no, that's beautiful. And obviously this is part of that whole 30th in Colorado process. We're gonna get to that intersection and we'll talk a little bit about that. It's something that David Smith with the city of Chicago talked about last week, is that they're starting to really look at intersections first. How do we fix this intersection and really make this intersection just the best we can, and then starting to look at these long stretches between the critical intersections. I sometimes get the feeling like that was a little bit of the story of dealing with that 30th and Colorado Avenue intersection, and then now we've got this leading up towards it. So
yeah, the thought was really that we want to anchor the improvements on both corridors at that intersection, because it's such a key junction for people traveling east-west, north-south. Colorado is a main thoroughfare for folks going from the main CU campus to the East CU campus.
Right.
And so it just seemed intuitive that let's start there, where everyone's coming together, and then build the network out from there.
Yeah, fantastic.
One of our floating bus stop designs right here.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, and another floating bus stop here.
Another floating bus stop, yeah.
And you'll see the detectable warning right at that bus stop to guide
rain
people.
Garden right here.
And some rain garden, yep.
Yeah. taking every opportunity to depave.
Yeah, we've heard that it's a huge priority.
Yeah.
Both from the community thinking towards a resilient future and our city council as well.
It just softens things up too.
And it's more
makes it feel cooler.
Pleasing and comfortable.
All the way around,
Yeah.
All the way around. The benefits just keep coming. Wow, this is so exciting, seeing this happening.
Final segment of sidewalk level bike lane getting poured over there on the west side. And that'll tie right into the protected intersection that was completed, oh boy, coming in, I think on 2 years ago now. This fall, 2 years.
Yeah, 2023 fall.
So cool, so cool. Yeah, so y'all have got to be just grinning ear to ear, having this anchored in and done, and people using it, and knuckleheads from YouTube coming and filming here, all that kind of stuff. I'll start with you, Gerrit. Why don't you go ahead and talk about this from the perspective of the work that you and your team were working on to bring this to fruition and make it happen.
Yes, this is another example of the long story and the winding, weaving road to deliver great infrastructure. It takes often many years.
Yes.
So this project originally was conceived as a single underpass, and we pursued a grant application which was awarded in 2014.
Right.
And then on the heels of that, City Council said, we want you to study 30th Street in Colorado because these are important corridors, and we think that we can make them better. Right. And so we said, let's put the project on hold while we study these corridors. And the outcome of that was we should do a protected intersection here at 30th and Colorado, and we should do not just one, but 2 underpasses, because the movement demand for students and faculty and staff getting to and from the university and to their housing showed us that this is what the system actually needs.
It was complex. I mean, you had multiple destinations. A single underpass going in one direction wouldn't serve all of the diversity of needs. Given you've got your research campus over here, you've got housing all over the place. Yeah.
Right. So the funding, like I said, came about through the grant. It came about through a partnership with the university. Yeah. And it came about with funding, of course, from the city. So it brought the project together to make for a better overall than what was originally conceived. And the original thought was, well, do we need to do both the protected intersection and the underpass? In fact, that's a question we get from the community a lot today. Why both? Right. And it goes back to the whole notion of we want everywhere to feel safe and inviting. So the street should be protected, and the underpass is for those that don't ever want to ride on a street, right?
Sure.
We want to provide that sort of belt and suspenders approach to our multimodal system. Yeah. And I think the other thing I would say is today on the bike tour, we've experienced going through a lot of underpasses. Most of them provide a flood conveyance benefit. I'd say 75 to 80% of the underpasses in Boulder provide both flood and pedestrian bicycle benefit. We don't like to spend money on underpasses unless we absolutely have to when it's not a multi-purpose benefit. This is an example of, there's no flood benefit here. This is purely for pedestrian and cyclists because there's such high demand for the underpass here. So if we're going to spend the money for that, for delivering underpass, we want to make sure it's going to deliver the value and the safety benefit because we have such limited resources. So our pedestrian and bike underpasses alone, where that's the sole purpose, tend to be focused in the areas where there's higher density and a lot more folks who are walking and biking. So centered around the university, centered around high activity, higher density areas is where you'll typically find those. And so the great thing that we've seen so far is that the crashes that have occurred, there have been 2 crashes that have been reported here in the protected intersection. The cyclists that were hit were able to walk away without injury. And that's because we've introduced these raised corner islands that require any vehicle who's in the intersection to slow their travel speed. And it provides a bit better sight line so that as a car is turning, they're able to see that there's a cyclist or a pedestrian in the crosswalk. So because they're traveling slow, the distance needed to come to a full stop is much shorter. And so the folks that got hit, it was more of a nick than a serious injury, because as the expression goes, speed kills. So if they're traveling at a slow speed, even if there is a collision, that you're likely to walk away from that conflict, whereas if at higher speed, that's much less likely to be the case.
And that's a key tenet of our Vision Zero action plan, which, as I mentioned before, is really not just about being reactive to crashes where they occur, but being proactive in reducing risk, reducing that risk for a serious crash or a fatality to occur on our system here. And that's a great example exactly of that, reducing that risk for the serious crashes to occur.
Yeah, and what I love about a design like this too is that when we're slowing down the motor vehicle traffic, you're also benefiting from the crashes that didn't ever happen, because they're much easier to avoid that collision happening now. So it doesn't really even show up other than an absence of data, but it's one of the beauties of slower speeds is many of those collisions, many of those crashes just never even happened. So yeah, absolutely beautiful.
Coordinated with the paving work we saw at the very beginning of the ride, just today you're seeing some painted bus-only lanes, bus and turn lanes being installed. These didn't exist until today. One is being implemented right now as we speak, eastbound from the intersection. So that's exciting for Lucy and I to see, and that was a recommendation from the corridor study that we're coordinating with the repaving and the crews, the paint crews, the striping crews being out here to implement that as well at the same time. And that really might be a final capstone on the intersection itself, to have the bus lanes traveling through it, right, Gerrit?
Right.
Yeah. So
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, Lucy, you addressed a little bit about the the community process of continuing down 30th Street and that envisioning, having this in place, probably helped inform the public as to, oh, okay, now it can envision what a protected intersection actually, truly is. And it really, I think, helps your job in terms of, trying to get meaningful feedback from the community.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this was the first one in the city, and then about a year later, we followed with 28th in Colorado.
Right.
But yeah, it's hard for folks to look at a rendering or look at a picture and imagine what it's like to travel through that. But now we can recommend to folks come out here and experience it and feel what it feels like. And that helps us as we continue to build on protected intersections throughout the city.
I love it.
Yeah, and so this is that corner of CU's East Campus that the underpasses connect to here, and we'll come down and around. Ride through the north-south underpass. Connects to the east-west underpass and back to main campus, but we'll come out on the south side of Colorado Ave here. Since we are striping this bus lane right now, we might have a really great cone-separated bike lane we can ride in.
Yeah.
So that'll be nice. Yeah, so we're continuing this bus lane out to where the Buff Bus turns into East Campus.
Okay.
So that it has the full bus lane for the full stretch between main campus and East Campus.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And these lanes will support about over 10,000 daily riders on the Buff Bus.
Yeah.
Not just connecting the campuses, but also connecting to student housing. That Buff Bus system is just so heavily utilized. And then a lot of the infrastructure you see here on Colorado, well, there's one just on the other side of, just on the north side there, but a lot of bike share usage by students. They get a free membership here, and so they're using that to travel between campuses, borrow a bike and travel between campuses. Also a lot of Lime e-scooter usage along this corridor in particular. And we'll turn right here onto 35th Street, which is another planned neighborhood green street, critical neighborhood bikeway between, through the north-south through the neighborhood here, connecting Williams Village, which is student housing there, CU's student housing at Williams Village, with East Campus. So this corridor here runs, again, parallel to 30th, but 5 blocks off, so it kind of serves some different trips than the 30th Street corridor does.
Right.
And up ahead, this intersecting street, Aurora Ave, saw some of the similar traffic calming treatments that we saw up on Glenwood and Quince in North Boulder. Part of the same program again.
Yeah.
This one was kind of unique in that we had the space available here to do a quick build traffic circle with curb extensions.
Yeah, love it.
And this was extremely effective at knocking down those top end speeders. So I think we saw a 96, we can turn left here, John, and ride it for a minute. We saw a 96% reduction in those top end speeders that were over traveling, I believe, over 30 miles an hour. This is a posted 20-mile-per-hour street here.
Right.
Connecting to an elementary school down here at the east end.
Yeah.
So again, some curb extensions and painted median islands here to narrow the street. It's a little bit wider curb to curb than Quince and Glenwood.
Right.
So again, just different application of the materials here to fit that context.
Yeah. Let's see. And
some path connections off to the north here to a newer underpass under Foothills Parkway, and a great school here connection as well. Yeah, the floating bus stops we've constructed at 30th and Colorado too have been great to educate the community as well on some of the design treatments we're implementing with the CAN projects. We'll turn right. So those are some great examples of floating bus stops with the sidewalk level bike lane. Coming up here on Baseline, we have phased improvements to this corridor. First in 2023 with mobility enhancements. That's when the tall curbs were installed, when the street was repaved.
Right.
And we had resources only to install those really in kind of strategic locations, largely around intersections is where we prioritize them.
Right.
But we didn't have the funds to construct floating bus stops. So where we'll enter Baseline here it will be a westbound bus stop, and we had to leave these big gaps in those vertical elements, both the concrete curb and the plastic posts, the flex posts, to allow the bus still to get to the curb. We had to accommodate that in the phase 1 project.
Right.
But phase 2, which will go under construction later this year, is a larger grant-funded project, and we'll be able to construct more permanent intersection improvements and floating bus stops to close these gaps in the protection. So kind of nosing out onto Baseline here, another higher speed, higher traffic arterial, one of the third of our 3 CAN priority corridors.
Yeah.
And the team back in 2023, we were the first country the first city in the U.S. to install the tall curbs.
Okay.
These are Toronto-style tall curbs. We really looked to their implementation of them in Toronto and their practices, installing thousands of them in Toronto, and worked with a local manufacturer here to cast these elements here just in North Denver.
Yeah.
And they were trucked over, and we installed them in a matter of a week or two.
Yeah.
After the paving and the striping was done. But again, we just had the resources for these segments of them and these kind of key areas, and then at the intersections we tighten things up with quick build materials, but we have plans with the Phase 2 project to replace a lot of that with concrete and make it permanent, make these tighter intersections permanent. We've heard some concerns from the community that they're a little bit too tight, that it doesn't quite match the character of baseline, but I think it's these incremental steps we're taking that we can kind of redefine the street a bit to make it safer for everyone using it, and be responsive with the permanent features to some of the feedback we heard from the community to tweak these layouts a little bit where there's some concern turning into the neighborhoods if you're driving a vehicle. So trying to balance that with adjacent neighborhoods. And this is a bus stop, so a big gap here to allow the bus to pull to the curb, and where the floating bus stop will go down right in this 8-foot wide buffer. Okay. It was exactly 8 foot wide, so that we could come back and add the floating bus stop with the Phase 2 project, and the space is available for that. So we can ride the tall curb protected bike lane. These are on street, but using an 18-inch high curb instead of a 6-inch high curb. And these are all linked together to form these continuous segments, and as well as pinned into the pavement. Yeah.
And some of them, you can see over there, we incorporated some public art
I saw
from
that.
a local artist.
Yeah.
So there's a little more further west, but kind of interspersed throughout all the tall curves.
Yeah, lovely.
And the Phase 2 project will ride up and through the 30th and Baseline intersection. That's the next traffic signal ahead, and we did not have resources in Phase 1 to make improvements there. Okay. But a protected intersection is planned with the Phase 2 project, and removal of the westbound right slip lane as part of those Phase 2 improvements. So that intersection will really see a big transformation to connect into the Williams Village student housing and to the 30th Street corridor to the north, which there still will be a little gap there between Baseline and Colorado, John. But we did pursue and receive grant funds for constructing safety improvements and protected bike lanes for half of that gap, and we're kicking that project off soon, and hopefully we can pursue those additional funds to finish the last piece, over the next 5+ years. Yeah. But really exciting to see it connect all the way down to Baseline and the improvements we're building here. So really that vision for CAN is that connected system of protected bike lanes, not just protected bike lanes, but really comprehensive safety improvements to these corridors, and upgraded transit facilities, upgraded pedestrian facilities, and those intersection improvements. So really bringing all that together as part of the initiative, and we're making great progress on that. Yeah, okay. So we're ready to ride. Anything I missed?
Yep. No, I think you covered it. I got to peel off.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Yep. Yeah, those are brilliant.
Yeah, we're fortunate to have a bit more space on this corridor. So we have this ample 8-foot buffer here, and the bike lane here is 7 feet wide, which is our preferred width in our current standards. So yeah, really, some preferred bikeable widths for the corridor.
Right.
We did reduce travel lane widths with the project too, so we recently, as I mentioned, updated our design and construction standards, and And so that recommends 10-foot travel lanes on our streets, with the exception of if transit is operating on the corridor.
Okay.
In that case, the transit lane or the lane that the bus is in is recommended for 11 feet.
Okay.
But that was a tightening from our previous standards, and something we're implementing on all of our projects now.
Yeah.
It's another bus stop here we're kind of riding through. That'll be converted to a boarding island.
Right.
And we haven't, we typically do our full project evaluations when we update our Vision Zero Safe Streets report, kind of on a recurring basis, but we are monitoring the bike ridership here, kind of month over month, and largely have seen about a 40% increase in cycling along the corridor since installation of the tall curbs, which is just really positive. I think the feedback has been, especially with the taller curb, people just they feel more comfortable behind it, next to a 35 to 40 mile per hour arterial.
Gee, who would have thunk?
Yeah, I know. So we're kind of crossing this westbound right slip lane here that the Phase 2 project will close as part of the protected intersection improvements. And Williams Village, student housing, both undergraduate and graduate off to our left. And then we're a little more constrained going into this next segment here, and so you'll just see the flex posts here as we didn't have the widths available for a tall curb, but it is a place where we hope we can come back with concrete protection as resources allow here in the coming years.
Right.
The space is available to switch out those posts and put the concrete in. And there are adjacent multi-use paths on this next segment too that see a lot of utilization. But we have seen anecdotally a lot of cyclists now moving off the multi-use path into the protected bike lane, which reduces some of the conflicts on that multi-use path. As all those varying speeds, that big difference in speeds between a pedestrian and an e-bike or e-scooter. So it's just really continuous improvements here end to end along baseline over the past few years. Last summer, we also implemented post-separated bike lanes east of foothills out to 55th through mobility enhancements as well. So I think truly a transformation for the corridor. Overall in short order. Whoa. This is a raised crossing, John, actually, that was installed a few years ago.
Oh yeah, look at that.
For this side street. And we will be carrying that into our final design phase for some of the corridor projects. Let's pop up on the sidewalk here. And another underpass for Skunk Creek here. But we'll cross at grade to the south side. And continue under US 36 over to Moorhead Avenue and our final stop. Any other elements of baseline, Lucy, to highlight?
I think, again, just kind of the community engagement process. All these CAN corridors have robust engagement. It's part of the formal process. And as Daniel mentioned, with the phased approach, we're really able to respond to community feedback after this first phase as we move forward into the second phase. So that feedback continues to guide the design as we go forward, which is pretty neat to see.
I think a lot of that, John, is kind of in a lot of the design details. So it's some of those neighborhood access concerns. It's being responsive to replacing the temporary materials with permanent materials.
Right.
It's providing those more costly intersection improvements that are also desired by the community as they try to cross this major arterial, not just at the intersections, but mid-block.
Right.
if we're installing a new pedestrian crossing. So those are some of the places where the community really guides the designs we're carrying forward into construction, and it's really a partnership on that front, on a lot of the details of the design. Cross here and wait again to go right. Got an off-ramp here, but at least fully signalized and good crossing, protected crossing, at least going this direction. Part of the Safe Streets for All grant award the city received for construction of improvements to North 30th, like Gerrit mentioned, and also corridor improvements to Arapahoe Ave, also includes a demonstration project to evaluate the effectiveness of various treatments to retrofit slip lanes at low cost to improve safety and comfort for the crossings there. So we're undertaking that, or initiating that effort now, and the two treatments we're considering for that are signalizing, adding red turn arrows, turn arrow indications for slip lanes so that traffic comes to a complete stop, as well as tightening the geometry. We'll go left here, as well as tightening the geometry. So instead of those very wide radii that you see today on a lot of slip lanes, tightening those up and bringing that bypass lane in at almost a much closer to a 90-degree angle with the perpendicular street. So it'll be interesting, John, to see the findings from that, and that can inform how we retrofit our slip lanes when we can't reconstruct them or close them entirely. So yeah, Lucy can speak to this project. This was another effort coordinated with repaving.
Yeah, so this was a 2024 mobility enhancements project. So coordinating with our annual repaving process, we took kind of a comprehensive approach to, this is Moorhead, and you'll see we just rode through a short section of two-way separated cycle track that really enhances this connection to Skunk Creek here.
Yeah, that's right.
And underpasses up to Broadway.
Yeah.
And then if you were to head further east on Moorhead, we widened bike lanes, added a buffer on one side. We were pretty space constrained. And then we also, beyond this curve, did not restripe the center line as another tool in the toolbox to calm traffic speeds. Right. We, in addition to that, added the splitter islands that Daniel was talking about earlier to kind of visually interrupt that long straightaway, and a couple of speed cushions as well. So Moorhead was really kind of like all the tools in the toolbox approach, but we've heard great feedback so far. It's been in place about a year, and the neighborhood has really appreciated the traffic calming. A lot of families, a lot of college students in the neighborhood.
Yeah, and we just saw the bus successfully navigate that, no trouble. And so, yeah, we've got the traffic calming elements in place here, and just really enhancing that comfort for people walking and biking.
And there is a concept for new housing in this area here between US 36 and Moorhead, and so as part of those plans, as recommended by our Transportation Master Plan, there would be a dedicated path connection kind of through that parking lot we rode through that will connect to this this crosswalk and bike crossing here. So, if and when that project moves forward, this would kind of more seamlessly tie together to the baseline corridor. So this was one, just a lot of collaboration between our divisions within the department, with our paving team, our resurfacing team, our operations division, our paint and sign shop here to develop this layout and select the materials for it. And it's been holding up really well here over the past year with these materials.
This is cool too, because I mean, it's like, okay, how do we get, people traveling on bikes to Skunk Creek? Oh, I know, we'll do just a little tiny little two-way. Boom, a little bit of creativity.
Yeah.
Get it done.
Get it done. Yeah. And this was all within the existing roadway here. So just repurposing some space creatively and marking it out. So
fantastic.
Well, this has been super fun, John.
I was gonna say, guys, you're rock stars. I mean, seriously. Thank you so much for doing this here today. Final comments, Lucy, on anything that you'd like to leave the audience with?
Yeah, I think, with our core arterial network initiative and kind of supplemented with some smaller programs that are able to more nimbly and quickly get improvements in, I think we're really looking forward to a complete, safe, and comfortable network in the city, in the next couple of years, really. So it's an exciting time in Boulder.
It sure is an exciting time. Any advice from the experience over the past few years, doing this, that you think cities could benefit from your experience here, especially bringing the community along?
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it. There's hearing folks' opinions and their experiences, and then there's that education piece too, with protected intersections, with floating bus stops, and allowing people to really experience what those are and learn about them. I think the other thing, as Daniel mentioned, we have really great partnerships across divisions and departments within the city that allow us to put in something like this in-house, just partnering with all of our different departments. And so keeping those relationships strong is super beneficial.
Partnerships and keeping them strong. All right, for you, Daniel, final words.
Just to kind of echo that, I definitely echo that, and I think we've also got a great multimodal planning team here that Lucy and I are part of. You may have met a few of those other members. We came to your presentation last week, we just focus really broadly on all aspects of the project development and all the way through to construction. That's something I think was really innovative, dating back 5+ years in Boulder, to a model where planners are really working hand in hand with our engineering teams and our project managers, and we've now kind of turned even a new chapter on these CAN projects, and this team that Lucy and I are part of, we do everything from the alternatives analysis and concept design development to engagement, to riding our e-bikes out into the field during construction and meeting with our field techs in the directly on site and working through problems and trying to get these things implemented as quickly as we can. So I think that's been really satisfying for me working in Boulder and with the team we have, and just looking forward to the progress we're making and we'll continue to make over the next few years.
Well, again, congratulations to you both and to the entire team here working hard in the city. Well done, and thank you so much for showing me around. Right up here, boom, yes.
Go team.
Boom, go team.
And a huge shout out once again to all my Active Towns ambassadors supporting the channel financially via YouTube Super Thanks, YouTube memberships, Buy Me a Coffee, making contributions to the nonprofit, and of course out on Patreon as well. Again, I simply could not produce this content without your support. Thank you all so very much.